أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل مضل له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد so if anybody's watching right now, can you please type in the chat to see whether you can hear me and if you can hear Amr. So
Okay.
Amr, just give him a little test or say something.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I can hear it. Okay. I can hear you one thing.
Who's? Can you say something to see if I can hear you? Who's? Are you saying something?
They can hear me on YouTube, so I don't know.
Who's? Let me know in the chat if you're saying something.
Just trying right here, bro. Peak content. Love to see it. We can hear you both. Shukran Amina. Jazakallah khair. It's just that Jaffer
So
can't.
they can hear us, but I can't hear y'all.
Yeah,
But you guys
lovely.
can hear me. So it's
I can
got to
hear
be
you.
my end then.
Fitrah,
So
Sheikh.
when I leave the room, Amr, does it close you guys out?
No, it does not close us out.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave out. I'm gonna restart my computer and then I'll jump back on real quick.
All right.
So, sound good?
Yeah, inshallah.
All right.
Cool. Look at that. It's my stream now, chat. MashaAllah. Crazy. Real quick, chat. Real quick, because I know it's like the holiday season going around, and I was reading an article Mubarak shared about these Muslim people getting caught up in celebrating Christmas, and we do not celebrate Christmas. I don't care how enticing it may seem or how much it's just people view it as just a gift giving day for Christmas. No, Christmas is not about that at all. It is a pagan holiday. It is shirk. You cannot celebrate it under any means whatsoever. I don't care if you live in America and all your friends do it, or your kids have friends who are not Muslims and they all celebrate Christmas, and your kids are like, hey, Umi, Abu, I want to, I want gifts too. Listen, your kids will be fine. You have two Eids. Go out for all the Eids and buy your kids gifts and stuff. But Christmas, Halloween, Easter, this is not what we do. We have our own holidays. We celebrate, and you don't need people to be out here like, yeah, Christmas gifts, a tree. We're gonna have a Christmas tree. A lot of people I've seen posting online with freaking Christmas trees in their Muslim households is insane. Um, yeah, we don't celebrate Christmas, and that shouldn't be news to anyone. You're Muslim, stick to that, and don't be trapped by something stupid as Christmas, like some make believe holiday for Easter apparently passing on the day. Shout out to the Christians, we're very smart people. Saint Nick, the Pope. Ya Allah.
There we go.
Look at that, Jafar figured it out. MashaAllah. That's my sheikh, Chad. That is my sheikh. All right, you like it? All right.
Restart.
Yeah, yes. Gonna restart. It's like freaking plugging the router back in, Chad.
Delete.
Yep, plugging the router back in. That is the key to my parents' entire household. All right, right back in. I'm like, wow, son, you're a hacker for real. I'm like, yeah, something like that. Something like that. Alhamdulillah.
All right. Let me get reset up and get my documents back up.
Fantastic. Also,
Okay. So I did you fill them in on what we're covering today?
Oh, no, I was talking about Christmas and how I don't celebrate Christmas, just to give a PSA. But yeah, inshallah, today we'll be covering the Futuhat Muhammadiyah, the book written by Mubarak Jalani, the Shirk book itself, with like goat loving and and Shirk, and satanic kind of demon signs. So we're gonna cover that. We're trying to like get through this book in some way, shape, or form before we move on to other things and cover up. So we want to finish one task before going to others because we tend to hop around.
So we're going to try to go through as quick as possible and just try to cover the big things because it gets repetitive. but I think the repetition will help those that actually think that there's some kind of like scholarship or Mubarak Jelani like actually was any type of knowledgeable person, really just plagiarizing and making stuff up and stuff that goes clearly against uh no, my camera's not working.
Screen's
You
blacked
guys
out.
can see me?
No, your screen's blacked out. I was about to say.
What's going on? So yeah, this shit stuff this jump not liking me right now.
There you go.
Okay.
You good?
Switch back.
You just cut it off, Dapper.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi
Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, here we go. All right, so we're just gonna jump right into it. You guys already know about this black book. We don't have to introduce it so much. So the first thing we're starting off on is the hidden treasure chapter on page 10. I could just share my screen.
Cool. Because yeah, I haven't looked at since last look at this.
All right, let me zoom in a little bit. I got things highlighted, but I took notes as well. And so on page 13, I think we're on page 13.
Yeah, because this is the GOAT page or the last page. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's go to page 13.
The fair maiden.
11, 12, 13. All right. So he talks about mankind escaping created boundaries, which, I mean, we don't have to go too far into this, but the only thing that's outside of created boundaries is Allah, because Allah is the only thing that's uncreated. Everything other than Allah is uncreated or is created. So if you go into if you're talking about anything and you start talking about an attribute of being uncreated, you're committing shirk because you're telling whatever that is, taking on the attributes of Allah. Allah is the only thing that is uncreated. Okay, so mankind cannot achieve a status of being beyond the creation, time, space, dimensions, and all that. Mankind is created and will forever be in a created environment. Paradise is created, hell's created, everything except for Allah is created. And it kind of, this is kind of like the general theme in all these beginning chapters, is basically trying to convince people that somehow they can, long and short of it, is become Allah. That's pretty much what he's trying to promote here. Let's see. There's constant fabrications in this. Let's see. He talks about Jesus, son of Mary, being a competent Sufi master. Jesus was not a Sufi. He was a Muslim. He was a prophet. Sufism did not come until hundreds of years after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the term Sufism. So he was not a Sufi master, whatever that is. And then there's a fabricated quote, comes from Shiite sources, where it talks about Khalifa Ali. He said, allegedly, I mean, not allegedly, they're saying he said, which is it's a lie. Khalifa Ali never said this. This is not authentic. He said, an offspring of a perfect man, which has been called a point of Bismillah by Hadra Ali, right? And there's this quote that's falsely attributed to Hadra Ali about there's so much knowledge in just like the nukta, the dot in the beh, like they call it a nukta. It's basically there's so much knowledge just in the dot of the beh or something like that, right? You can know this is fabricated because if anybody knows anything about the text of the Quran during the time of the Arabs, they didn't use dots.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was about to say, yo, so when did all this knowledge get there? Because they didn't, that was put there. The dots were put there for pretty much non-Arabs and people who didn't use the Qurayshi dialect and those Arabic dialects that could easily understand
would need it, yeah.
the Qurayshi dialect, or those dialects that Rasulullah and his companion used and were most used to. So this was like after the time of Rasulullah passing away, that they actually like developed that system to to put the dots, because it wasn't always exactly like we see it now. Sometimes, it was different, and kind of it's become kind of codified now and solidified. But even before that, it was a fluid situation, not necessarily the text or how to speak or pronounce the Arabic language. But for those people who were non-Arabs and were learning Arabic or were not used to it, those were put there for them. So the fact that the dots on the ba or any other letter were put there for people who did not have the knowledge of the Arabic language, it didn't say it contains all the knowledge, is ridiculous.
Yeah, and just so people know, like if you looked or seen some old transcripts, like we wouldn't be able to read them.
Yep.
You have to be like an expert or specialist and know the difference, the script, the original script of Arabic, because they knew the words, they knew the language, so they didn't need dots and vowels and all these different things to know what the word was. So clear fabrication, another example of Mubarak Jalani quoting clear fabrications and from Shiite sources. We go to page 14, and let's see what I got here. This it starts getting weird. Like if you're reading this, if you have this book at home, if your parents have this, pull it off the shelf and just start reading it. If you know, because reading it with like basic Islamic knowledge and just being an adult or whatever, you're gonna read just like, what is this weird?
Bro, whatever you have highlighted here, Jaffer, the first part about him sitting on the lap and stuff, bro. Listen, the Santa Claus timing.
Just in time for Christmas.
could have been better. Could not have been better than this, bro.
Yeah,
was he good or bad?
So, and just to like catch people up, that he's talking about this idea of a perfect man. When you become this perfect man, this is like when you become part of Allah, right? You go beyond the creation, you become one with Allah and all these different things. And when you become this alleged perfect man, right, he very often sees himself in the holy assembly of the last messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now you just meet up this holy court idea, right? That there's this magical court outside that you get to go visit now. And when he even sits occasionally in the lap of the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how many Sahabas sat in the lap of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Hassan Hussein is probably might be it.
We know,
yeah.
Well, kids, right? Kids, children. But like, the only thing I can think of that's like even close to this, because there's an adab with everything. There's an adab with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? A man would not go and sit on his lap, right? But remember when we have the hadith where Angel Jibreel came out the desert and he wasn't traveling, and remember he went up to Rasulullah and sat like knee to knee, and that was so strange because even the Sahabas were looking like, why is he? How can he just go do that with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It was out of the ordinary. So now in this magical court, you get to go sit as a grown adult, man or woman, I guess, sit on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's lap. This is just weirdness. This is weird.
Yeah. Now there are a couple. There are a couple of narrations where one of the Sahaba, it was a man, in which he Rasulullah was leaning on him or resting on him, and so that I want to say it was on his thigh or something like that, and he was asleep, or maybe it may be he may have been leaning on him or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I know that the weight of the wahi when Rasulullah was getting the wahi,
heavy,
he became so heavy that the Sahaba thought that like his leg or something would be crushed and break. That's the heaviness, So that's one example. But as far as sitting on his lap, no, Aisha radhiyallahu anha talks about how Rasulullah would sleep with his head in her lap, and just a small side note. I always find it interesting that this narration where Aisha radhiyallahu anha says how Rasulullah was asleep with his head in her lap. Her father came in, and something that she was doing or that she was allowing to be done or something in her home where it upset her father, and she said, Abu Bakr Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu, he hit her in her side, and she said it hurt so bad, but she didn't move and she didn't flinch, she didn't make a sound because she didn't want to wreck Rasulullah. So I mean, that's probably some content for another show, but it just came
Yeah.
to mind like when he was when he was resting on her lap. I probably shouldn't have brought that up without remembering exactly the context. But hey, y'all can look it up now and find some
Yeah.
interesting.
Do some research, please.
Yeah.
Yes. It won't hurt you, I promise.
So he talks about the concept of the what that wujud, which is that whole Shirk philosophy of becoming one with Allah. This is clearly Shirk. Any of the scholars you talk to or go look up, they'll talk about it Shirk. The only ones that will believe in this are the extreme Sufis. And he talks about basically becoming immortal, right? There's only I mean, immortality. When you talk about immortality, when you think about immortality, you only think about Allah, right? There's every soul shall taste death. This is in the Quran. We can't become immortal. The time we become kind of quote unquote immortal is after we die, and Allah raises us back again, and then we'll be in heaven or hell forever. But true immortality belongs only to Allah.
And there's another key component to this that people really need to think about, and that is when these people, whether any of these charlatans that talk about how becoming one with Allah or becoming divine or having this such heightened spiritual ability and senses or whatever, in which you're going through different realms and in realities and all these things. The thing is, they know that you'll never be able to do it. But what that does is if they can get you to believe that it's possible or that they can do it, but then you realize you yourself can't do it, then you put them on this higher pedestal. That's what it's getting at. They'll tell you, yeah, I can do this and that. It's a snake oil salesman, really. I mean, it's a religious snake oil salesman. And so they're saying, yeah, you can do this if you follow my way, if you follow these steps or whatever, you can do what I've already done. You might try to do it a little bit, and then you realize I can't even do this. They must be so great because they allegedly have done it. It's a trick. You'll never actually be able to do any of this stuff, and they never have. As far as like we're talking, there's somebody going and seeing Allah and these type of things, and it's not possible.
Yep. And if the writer of this book achieved this status to tell you all about how to do it, why is he dead? Why did he pass on to Allah? Because he's in the grave right now, being worshipped by y'all at his little shrine. So clearly, he didn't have the knowledge himself to actually teach you how to be immortal, because it didn't work for him at all. Otherwise, he'd still be here teaching you all. And because listen, y'all always say, listen, if Mubarak Jalani was alive, I swear he would give R2F a fixing. Like, you guys done. They're done up. Where's he at?
He'd be hiding just like he was the whole year or so when we were talking about him and putting stuff online. He wasn't saying anything and not responding. Quotes another fabricated hadith at the end of the page where he says that it's a hadith Qudsi, but it's a fabrication. You can go look this up yourselves, where he says, I was the hidden treasure and I desire to be discovered. Later, that's why it's a quoting of fabrication. So we go to the next page, and then this is where he quotes. So all those, we have so many references we already covered. So just to remind you, it's another reference to the seven sultans for those that say, "Oh, Mubarak Jalani never taught it" or whatever. He says later more light was thrown on this secret when he, Allah, spoke ilham on the tongue of the fifth sultan of Hyderabad Bahu. So pretty much how he's wording it is saying that basically Allah was speaking through the tongue of Sultan Bahu, similar to how Allah was speaking through the burning bush to Moses. I mean, it's just silly. It's comedy at this point. He says another quote, "Man is my secret and I am his secret." I believe that's another fabrication. I don't know if it's fabrication, but I couldn't find this hadith anywhere. You only find it on Sufi websites. That's it, with no reference or source at all. What else?
I would like to know of any, and I don't know of anything in anything that I have studied or heard or listened to or anything where Allah talks about something being a secret. Like Allah says, no one knows, the future except for him, or no one knows, it's the unseen. Like it's not a secret. You just don't have access. So it's like only the Sufis talk about secrets, like something is being hidden from
Yeah.
or whatever. But this type of concept, secret, a secret, it denotes, it has a, a connotation that comes with it of weakness. Like if you have to keep something secret from someone, you would be weakened if it was exposed, or this that type of thing. Like you have to keep something hidden, or otherwise. But Allah does not need to keep a secret from anyone.
Right.
He can keep you from knowing about it. He doesn't have to keep it secret. I don't know if
that's interesting because I like how you put that, because when you start thinking about like what's the secret, what's the qualities of the secret. So, and it's very interesting because, as you said, when Allah speaks, He says, "I know it," or here's the information, or no one knows it but me. Right? It's like there's no time I can, like you said, I could think of where He's like, "Oh, only me and this person know this," or only me. It's like when humans talk that way. Like for instance, I think was it which Sahaba was the keeper of secrets because he knew about like Rasul someone told him about the fitna that would happen.
I think it's Hudayfa ibn Yaman. Yeah.
Right. So he knew, like they said, the keeper of secrets. This is something information that was shared between Rasulullah and Hudayfa, the Sahaba.
Yeah. And the thing is, and if we look at that, if we look at that as far as the secret, it was kept a secret. Like Rasulullah had told one of the Sahaba about a certain number of munafiqeen, right? He told them about him, and so this Sahaba knew. And other things about the fitna that would happen between some of the Sahabas after Rasulullah. So he knew some of these things. But the reason why it was a secret, because maybe people could be harmed, or maybe it would cause some extra fitna or whatever it might be. So a secret usually is because of weakness that you have to keep a secret, or because something is going to happen that maybe you can't control, therefore you keep the secret. Allah doesn't have to keep a secret. He can just not allow you to know. And if He does allow you to know, you still can't do anything about it. And it might be for your own benefit, but Allah is not okay, this is a secret. No. Right. Allah has all the information. Either He lets you know it or doesn't.
Yep. And just like in human terms, bro, like if the person, if this is all a secret, right? Secret's supposed to be kept between like two people. It's not supposed to be out there. So for you to go take this secret and publish it for everyone to have access to, it's kind of, you just telling the story, right? Like, it's not secret at all.
Did the secret have some sort of statute of limitations? Like it was a secret in the time of Rasulullah. As a matter of fact, this was a secret all the way. This was a secret from the time of before Adam alayhi salam, allegedly, a lot of this stuff, and then not even allegedly, it's made up, but it was a secret. The Sahabas, it was a secret. Even some of the Sahaba didn't know, and some of the greatest ulama of our time didn't know. But now,
finally,
this big secret, anybody with access to a PDF, anybody access to the internet can happen. I mean, it's free game all of a sudden. Like,
everyone knows now.
I mean, how is that? Is that like one of the, like when people have the come up with a new pharmaceutical drug or whatever, but there's like 5 years of exclusivity where no one can like duplicate it, and then after the time limit goes up, then anybody can make it. You know what I mean? Is it like that or what? I mean, it's ridiculous. If it was a secret, why are you printing it in a book and telling everybody?
That would make you untrustworthy, because you're breaching the trust, right? You're not keeping the trust. So, like, how many different ways can we discredit you? How many different ways, you know? And then, like, has anybody ever, Amr, Mubarak, have you guys ever had any conversations with like 5%ers?
No, I haven't. I've heard people talk about their conversations with 5%ers, and I've heard people try to explain what they believe, but not.
I'll explain to you exactly what a conversation with a 5%er sounds like, simply by reading through this book. So he says, Almighty Allah had said that He is Ha of Huwiyat, which means that He is the one eye of the word Ha. in which he manifests his Ahdiyah, and his Hu, and he is hidden in the world of Yahoo, which in fact is the second I of the word Hu, which is known as Lahut, an uncreated world wherein lies the hidden treasure, blah, 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 Huat, Hu, what, like, this is exactly how they sound. They start talking about numbers. One is this, and two is this. And if you look at the A, it has a circle. This is exactly how they sound.
Let me just say something real quick. Lahut is not uncreated, bro. I know exactly where it's at.
We figured it out. It's in Pakistan, bro. Lahut Lamakan is in Pakistan.
It's not uncreated, bro. We found a gift shop too.
Yeah, but yeah, it's amazing how they are using these letters. I mean, listen, this is how ridiculous it is, because if you know the letter ha, you can write it about 4 different ways. Like, even if you just read the Quran,
Exactly.
the letter ha can be written, and you will see it written about 4 or 5 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're telling me that Allah has anything to do with a letter that literally can, I mean, it depending on who's writing it or how, it could change completely. So all these descriptions and where it is in a letter.
I tried to Google real quick to see, because I'm not even sure. Like, I wonder how the ancient letter, like during the time of Rasul, how they actually wrote the ha. I wonder how they actually wrote it, because he's talking about like the eyes, like the circles in the ha letter when you write it in that certain form, like they mean certain things. Well, did Rasul, did the Sahabas actually write the ha that way? I wonder. But like you said, there's so many different ways to write it, and this is all just, it's bullcrap, because you're basically finding up this like, where in the hadiths do you see anything remotely even close to Rasul saying anything about these letters and how they're written and what they mean? Nowhere. And this whole thing with like who is like, because they say who, the extreme Sufis and the Jamaat, they say who is like it's a name of Allah, and it's the most perfect name of Allah. That's why they doing their dhikrs. They're like who. They think they're saying Allah's name. I can't call myself Al-Rahman or anybody else, or Al-Rahim, or any of the names that we know are Allah's attributes. We can't call ourselves. We have to say Abdul Rahman, Abdul Rahim, right? I can call myself who? I can call Mubarak who? Anybody. So how is that the greatest name of Allah when I can use it for anything?
For anything. Actually, any inanimate object, any inanimate or animate object, person, place, thing, or whatever, when it is used as a pronoun, like huwa, it, he or it, attached to a pronoun, you know, his book, kitabuhu, who. It comes, it's literally every single person who has been attached, like as a pronoun. Like if I say, that's Jafar, that's his son, Ibnuhu. Yep. Every single person that's been mentioned in the Arabic language for since it has been spoken has been called who, and even objects or whatever. So it's just ridiculous, man.
Mm-hmm. And that's where he says it right here in this last line. He says, again, this incident is a manifestation of his greatest name, who, as explained earlier. And if you go to the hadiths, if you go to the, what the scholars have said for centuries, there's different opinions of what Allah's greatest name is. Who is not on that list at all. When you memorize the 99 names and you have different like jingles and tunes, you can memorize. Go listen to them, go read them, go look up online and see if you see Huwa or who on any of those lists. You will not see that. Okay, so this is just, again, diverting people from what is the truth that was conveyed to us through Allah and Rasulullah.
And let me just say why it's so. I mean, one of the reasons why it's so important is just imagine, like what Jafar was saying, the names. What's the greatest name of Allah, and the names, the authentic names of Allah, we get knowing what the names of Allah are. They're from the sources of Islam, the Quran, the Sunnah. that's where we get it from, and you have to stick to that. Why? It's like something much less important as your religion and what you believe about Allah is your money, for instance. So if someone said, hey, Jafar, I have a way that we can make $1 million in one day. Okay, how? It's a secret. Just give me $10,000 or whatever you got. It's a secret. You'd be like, no, number one, you got to show me some sort of proof, something. You're not gonna take it's a secret, or you wouldn't even listen to say, well, somebody said they was able to do it. So if you would be much more careful with your money and your religion and how the beliefs you live on and what you die on, especially, is much more valuable to you than that, then you can never accept someone that says, well, it's a secret. There's no source, there's no proof, but it's a secret. It sounds nice, it sounds wonderful, but you have to be more careful than that.
On page 16, this is where he starts flirting around with, some Shiite beliefs. He says, as a matter of fact, Muhammad, blessing and peace be on him, and Ali represent two aspects of the same reality, just as the two eyes of Hu represent the same reality. So basically, he's putting Ali on the same level as Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu, which we know Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu is a prophet, one, so and Ali's not a prophet. So right there, they're not the same. Rasul is the greatest prophet. So there's that. We know that the Sahabas are after the prophets, and we know the best Sahaba is Abu Bakr, radiallahu anh. And after him, Umar, radiallahu anh. And after him, Uthman. And after him, Ali. So they're not two aspects of the same reality. And then, later on, he starts misquoting Ali and attributing sayings to him that are from Shiite sources that aren't authentic. And that's a constant theme that we keep running into, is just how many times is he going to quote fabrications just because it plays into, his agenda. What else? He quotes this story that allegedly he told his son about contemplating over himself and saying that it shall suffice because nothing exists without you. Like he's allegedly told his son that all of creation is inside of you, which is some old like mystical weirdness, but it's not authentic. It's not from Sahih at all. What else did he say? He allegedly I search for these things. He says that Zayn al-Abidin said, "Oh my Allah, if I reveal Jahor, whatever, the ultimate truth regarding knowledge, then people would call me idol worshiper, and the Muslims would declare my blood lawful." So right here's a statement that if you believe this, then what he's trying to do is basically desensitize you to all the shirk you're encountering in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to pay attention to these things, because where do we have any statements, authentic statements from Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam like, yeah, I can't tell you that because you guys are going to think I'm committing shirk? Or does he constantly say, don't commit shirk, don't do this because it's close to shirk, this is minor shirk, that's major shirk, don't go near it? This is what Islam is all about, is avoiding shirk. Tawheed, pure, clear Tawheed. But these books, these types of teachings, these fraudsters want to bring you closer and closer to shirk. Who wants to bring you closer and closer to shirk? Shaitan. It's a clear sign that these people, whether they are sincere or not, are being influenced by Shaitan, who we know is never sincere. Let's see. Let's go to page 17. 17, what do we have here? He starts quoting, again, this is fabrications that are attributed to Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, where he claims that Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani says that he was created before Adam, and that he was with Prophet Abraham in the fire. So if you read that there, he says, I was created before the time of Adam, and my secret is even older than my... listen to this. Imagine Mubarak saying, how old are you? And I say, I'm older than I was created.
What?
That's
What?
pretty much what he's saying. He says, I'm even older than my existence.
You know, I was with Ibrahim in the fire and was in communication with him, and Almighty turned the fire cold the moment I appeared. I mean,
yeah.
just for instance, let's and you know what, listen, Abdul Khadir Jilani didn't. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Oh man, trying to fight that joint for a while. But he didn't actually say this. But let's just let's just imagine someone did say this. Doesn't matter unless Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam can authentically be proven to have said this or anything like it. Then guess what? You cannot believe it as a Muslim. As a Muslim, you cannot believe it.
Yep.
This is the thing that people are missing. You cannot believe anything about the religion that Allah did not tell you to believe about the religion. I mean, you can believe something random that's not religious. Like you can believe, like sometimes we talk about, well, we won't get into it. But the thing is, you have to, anything you think that is part of the religion of Islam, it has to be sourced. It has to come from a source. So even if you think Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani said that he is existence and he was created before Adam alayhi salam, you have to regard it as a lie, even if he stood in your face and said it. I mean, if I said that to you guys right now, hey, whatever it is that I'm saying, you might know me as being a truthful person. You don't know me to be a liar. You don't know me to be someone who exaggerates or anything like that. And I'm just decent all the way around. But that statement, it doesn't matter how much you like me or how much you think I'm a nice guy. You cannot believe it. You have to say, okay, when did Allah say? What does Allah say about creation? What does Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say about creation? Allah talks about the creation of Adam alayhi salam in Surah Al-Baqarah and other places. He talks about the creation of Adam's offspring and all of the people, all of the human beings, the whole race of human beings in Surah Al-Araf, where Allah talks about them. That's where we get our information from. So for someone to say that they were created before that, that means they're saying Allah is a liar. Because Allah says he created and created Adam alayhi salam, and he said we are all descendants of Adam alayhi salam. He didn't say some of y'all are, some of y'all are not. So that means you're saying that Allah is not speaking the facts. That's dangerous. Someone who does not believe what Allah says is not a Muslim. And this is not what Allah said. So you have one or two options. You believe what Allah says, or you believe this. But what Allah says is where the Muslims are. And this is somewhere else. I don't know what religion it is, but it's not Islam.
Yep. And then he also claims that that Allah was talking to Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani and said to him, and he calls him Gausul Azam, which, if anybody knows what that means, is actually shirk, right? It's actually shirk. That term, Gausul Azam, is shirk to call somebody that, call a human being, because it pretty much means like the greatest helper or something like that, right? So allegedly, Allah is calling this human being the greatest helper. And then he says, I have manifested myself in man, right? We've already, and for all the people in TMOA that think that we're like our videos that we put up about the stuff that TMOA has said, specifically we're going to talk about the Trinity and Allah manifesting himself in Jesus and Isa. And it's hard for us to believe that Jesus isn't the son of, like, we're not, this is really what y'all was taught. It's right here. It's saying that you believe that Allah manifested himself in a man. That you are now a Christian. Sorry, you're a Christian. You're not even the good kind of Christian. You're not even a Unitarian. You're the ones that believe in the Trinity and that Jesus is part God on earth and all these different things. You have the same belief. So
I mean, let's
right there in the
seriously,
book.
they can ask yourself this question. I mean, seriously, you don't even have to say it out loud. We would love for you to call in the show and try to defend this, but Just ask yourself out loud. Do you believe that Allah manifested himself in a man, a perfect man? I mean, this is what this man says. I mean, you believe that? I mean, you have to really think. I mean, this is what your alleged perfect Murshid Kamil was teaching you. It's not Islam.
And let's say you believe it. Why would Allah do that?
They're not going to have no answer. They're going to go back to what we just talked about in the couple. It's a secret.
Kevin Musa, you know?
He starts talking about Sultan Bahu and whatever. But then he repeats some of the stuff that Sultan Bahu says. And Sultan Bahu says, when the command kun, be, was given by Allah, I was there too.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. I can assure you were not there.
That's the first part. So before we do the second sentence, he's basically saying, before Allah created anything, I was there.
Yeah.
That's pretty much saying, I'm Allah.
Because he's saying that he was not part of the when Allah's command everything be and it is. That means that was already here. Everything come into existence. So he was already existing. So when Allah said be and it is, I was already there.
That man's special.
Yo, what were you doing there, bro? That's like when you always have if you tell a story, there's always some dude who has a better story. Oh yeah, I caught this big fish. Well, yeah, I caught one too. What I caught it with my own hands. He's the
shark. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like. He's there, but let me back up a little to what Armin said, because I'm actually a really good question is why would Allah do that?
Right.
Why would Allah make himself manifest himself in a man? Like, why would he do that? Let's think of what Allah does do. Allah is Maliki Yawmiddin. Rabbul Alameen. He's the Lord of all the worlds. He's the master of everything in existence. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. As Allah says, فَعَالٌ لِمَا يُرِيدُ. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants to. He's high above his creation. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. He's the highest above his creation. Right? So, even if you go to the White House, right? President, you're not just going to walk up and talk to, Joe Biden or Donald Trump or whoever. No, there's going to be someone there that's going to meet you, maybe take your request. First of all, there's going to be guards there. So this is for an important human. Any and everybody they don't talk to, and any and everybody doesn't get access. What do? They have even the president, they have a press secretary. The press secretary sits there and answers a bunch of questions from reporters and the press because the president is too busy to do that every day. Or he's the president. He doesn't have to. So he has someone who gives the information, what the president legislates or wants to do, and they answer questions based on what they know that the president wants them to do. This is a small way of where you can give an example of how Allah is. Allah, no, everyone doesn't get to. I mean, you can talk to Allah. You're not going to get a direct response. Allah's going to say, oh, yes, Jafar, what would you like? Okay, yeah, I'm here. You called me. That's not how it works. He's the king of all kings. He's the master of all creation. You can, and Allah does say, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ إِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ, that whenever the servants call for him, he is near. He hears you, and he does respond. But it's not like you think. You don't get to just, say, Allah, are you there? And he says, oh, yes, I'm here. Okay, what? And then has a conversation with you like that. So what does Allah do? Allah has angels who he gives tasks to. Can Allah bring down every raindrop however he can? Yes, of course he can. Can Allah control the winds? Of course he can. Can Allah do anything that the angels do on these tasks? He can do all of those things. But he's the king of all kings. He doesn't have to. And I'm not trying to be too long-winded, but you have to understand that Allah doesn't do these things because it's above his majesty. I mean, it's below his majesty. Sorry, Allah is much far above that, right?
Yeah.
So what does Allah do? He sends angels to do what he wants them to do. He sends angels. He calls the angels messengers. They do these things. What else does Allah do? Allah sends angels to then tell human beings messages from Allah, and those are the prophets, right? So Allah sometimes has 2 or 3 beings between him and the creation as far as telling you directly what to do or not to do. Because we are just what Allah created. We are Allah's creation. We are all servants and slaves to Allah. We are not we are completely under his authority, and whatever he wants to do with us, he will. But we're not equal in any way. We're not close to him like that, in which we have the honor of talking to Allah and getting a response directly like that. If you make it to Jannah, and inshallah we all will, then you get the opportunity to see Allah. And but we really don't know of any of the interactions really beyond that. But you will speak to Allah on the day of judgment, inshallah, unless you're one of those people who Allah is not going to, as Allah says, that Allah is not going to talk to them. He's not going to purify them. And these are the people who it's amazing. I'm sorry going to this tangent, but in it actually Allah talks about the people who he's not going to talk to and he's not going to purify, and they're going to have a painful punishment, is those people who they hide and tell lies about the book of Allah, and then they don't clarify it and they don't make tawbah from what they did. Allah says these are the people who he's not going to talk to and he's not going to purify on the day of Qiyamah. But so, long story short, for Allah to then manifest himself into a human being, which is lowering himself, and then into a human being, which is even lower compared to where Allah is at, to then what? Do what? Walk around and talk to you? This is going the opposite direction of how Allah does. Allah actually sends messengers to then go to other messengers who are human beings to then give the message to you. But instead, he manifests himself into a human being. This is purely from Shaitan. Shaitan wants you, as Allah says in the last one I say, Allah says, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Don't follow the footsteps of Shaitan. He is a clear enemy for you. What does he do? إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ بِالسُّوءِ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ. He wants to encourage you and entice you to do intense, do evil and immoralities, and وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and for you to say about Allah what you don't know. And this is purely what's happening here. Let's be careful. May Allah protect us. I mean, sorry
so
for the khutbah. I just
no, Rob, because we got to wrap up soon, but it brought up a good thing. And so one thing I wanted to mention real quick was just to ask the people to ask themselves, if you can become one with Allah, right? How is it a blessing? Because the greatest thing that happens to us when we make it to paradise, inshallah, we all make it to paradise, is that we actually get to see Allah. For all those people that get to become this perfect man and get to be one with Allah, how is that a blessing for them? Right? And then I know the response, because this is in the Jamaat that they say it's also part of the these goofy Sufi people that say this, is that you shouldn't strive to do good. And I'm pretty sure you guys have heard this before too. You shouldn't strive to do good for paradise or for fear of hell. You should just strive just to be with Allah, right? Like this whole thing, like, I don't want heaven, I don't want Jannah, I don't want that, I'm not afraid of hell, I just love Allah, and this is why I'm being a good Muslim, right? Well, guess what I've just found out recently? That comes from the holy book of Sikhs. That exact concept. Like they say it's deficient if you are aiming for heaven or you're afraid of hell. You should just be aiming to be one for Allah. And I was just like, how didn't we know this? Because this is all coming from this. These concepts are coming from all the same region, the same people. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to mention that real quick. But I want to debate with you. I'll be TM away because I know the answer to the question. Well, it's not the answer that they should give. When you ask the question of why would Allah manifest himself inside of man? And 90% of TM I'll say 99% of TM people wouldn't be able to answer that question because they don't know their own beliefs. But if you read Sultan Bahu's, whatever, Rasala Ruhi, he talks about it in there, right? So this is the answer that you would get, is that because when Allah created creation, Sultan Bahu was next to him, right? When Allah created creation, it was so beautiful and perfect. And he wanted to go experience his creation. But every time he went to go experience it or enter in creation, it would be destroyed by Allah's presence. So what he did is he created man, starting with, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which is basically a reflection of him. It's the version of Allah that can actually enter creation, and Allah can now experience his creation. That's the answer. So what's the rebuttal to that?
So the answer is that Allah create, because you just said that for some reason, whatever Allah got close to his creation, it exploded. Why is Bahu there still then, or whoever the hell? He should explode it too.
Yeah. That's a whole other different conversation.
I would say why that's like, you have I'm sure all of us either have a phone or a computer that we're using right now. Mm-hmm. So on my computer, I felt like, man, this computer is fire. It's a touch screen. It's a touch screen computer. It's really nice. This is the best computer I've ever had. Now, I like the computer. I mean, I didn't necessarily make it, but would it make any sense when they say, man, I really want to experience what it's like to be a computer? No, I got no desire to experience what it's like to be a computer. It's below me. It's something that has been created and put together, whatever. But no, I mean, you don't look at you don't look at a beetle or something and be like, yo, look at that beetle. I wonder what it's like to experience to be a beetle. It hasn't crossed no rational human being's mind to want to be a beetle or anything that's not necessarily a human being. Maybe you might want to fly or something like that, but to actually be that thing and to experience what it's like to be that thing, no. So for Allah to
let's even go a little further into that, because when we desire stuff like that, is because we lack the knowledge of that experience. I want to know what it feels like to just glide in the air hundreds of feet above the ground, or I want to know what it feels like to be able to do whatever it is, right?
So
Allah has perfect knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. It's very simple. What does Allah say? Wallahu ala kulli shay'in alim. And Allah is on everything. Allah knows everything. So everything, Allah is knowledgeable about everything. So if it's anything that someone has knowledge about it, why would Allah need to do something to be able to experience it? That means until Allah did that, whoever did had more knowledge about that thing than Allah did. Do you see how ridiculous that is? Until Allah did it,
Allah,
whoever was there before that has more knowledge than him. This is like purely from Shaitan. You just have to think a little bit about it, and it should become very clear.
Well, look at this next line, and we're going to have to wrap up pretty soon here, but look at this next line, because if anybody studied just like, if you study the basic, not the basic, like the original, like deviated sects of Islam, and I forget which one it is, but listen to this line. And this is Sultan Bahu talking. This is, him being with Allah before creation. And he says, I remember when only Allah existed without any attribute.
You remember?
Allah did not have attributes.
Do you know?
Well, just forget that hocus pocus. He claims there's a time when Allah didn't have any attributes.
So
Allah has been Allah forever.
Yo.
There's no like attribute he gained. There's no attribute he lost. And if you ever look at like those YouTube videos where they're debating like atheists, and
I was about to get into that.
This is one of the arguments they break up. Right?
I was about to say Sultan Bahu clearly caused the Big Bang in this.
Yeah, and so the people that don't people might be thinking, okay, well, what's the big deal to say Allah, gained attributes? Listen, if Allah For instance, if I say, you know what, I used to be able to bench 135, now I'm benching 280 pounds. Okay, that means I improved. That means
Mm-hmm.
before now I was deficient. I was weaker. So for you to say, well, Allah, one of Allah's attributes is that وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. He's all hearing and all seeing. If you say that one of those attributes he didn't have attributes. Well, he wasn't all seeing. He couldn't see, or he wasn't all seeing. That means what you're saying is at one point in time Allah was weaker than he is now, and or he was
Mm-hmm.
deficient, or that Allah can improve, so that there's somewhere where you can say, well, if Allah could do this, he would be better. No, all of
Mm-hmm.
Allah's attributes, he has always had them. And Allah has always been how he is. There was never a
Yes.
time where Allah wasn't who he is. Didn't exist. Uh, there wasn't no existence in which Allah wasn't complete in who he is with all of his attributes. And so to believe that Allah, somehow added features is it's not compatible with Islam. And for someone to believe that is very dangerous. I stop short of saying that it is kufr and takes them out of Islam, but to stay on
Oh
that
no, it
belief
does.
after
It does. These are because it's I just googled it real quick. The Jahmiya and the Mutazaliya. These are the ones that deny the Allah's attributes.
Yeah,
And
some of them
deny
denied some, others denied all. The ones
Right.
that deny all of Allah's attributes, they're out. So if someone says
Right.
that Allah has all of his attributes, okay, I can't say that they're not a Muslim. Now, if someone said that there
Right.
was a time where Allah didn't have any attributes, I mean, I don't know. It's dangerous. It's like, I mean, to me, in my mind, I'm like, nigga, he ain't Muslim. But I'm like, I don't want to. It's hard to say. It's hard to say it out of your mouth because
Yeah.
you don't know for sure. I'm saying it's very, very dangerous. It
Yeah.
probably is kufr. But I would say if the person is mixing the fact that they're saying, oh, yes, Allah has all of his attributes, all of the attributes of Allah that are found in the Quran, Allah has them. But one point in time he didn't. I'm like, yo, that's not compatible. You need to correct that part of the belief. Now, if they want to stay on that,
Yeah.
then I say, hey, you got to be careful. I just don't want to. I don't want to. I'll stop short of that.
Oh, yeah,
but
we're
definitely
not declaring takfir on anybody. Just to be clear.
I mean, whoever wrote this
so we're gonna.
book, I think it's clear that if whoever wrote this book believes what they wrote, they're not a Muslim. Whoever wrote this book, if they believe what they wrote in this book, they ain't a Muslim. This stuff is not Islam. It has nothing to do with Islam. It's actually contrary. Yeah. So that we can be sure of.
Yeah. All right. So just a little recap. We're gonna go into the next chapter. The next time we talk about this book, the Stuart Holdswade, Minds Without Boundaries. Remember that was a satanic book that he was referencing. He created his own language, talking about a hymnoid for whatever a hymnoid is. What other stuff? He's Ahdiya, which he says it's a state of beyond oneness, which if you actually think about the stuff, like Allah is one. How can you go beyond oneness? Like it's just this stuff doesn't make any sense, no sense whatsoever. If there's any questions, please post them in the chat. The next time we're going to talk about the chapter The Secret of the Secrets, which pretty much he copied just a bunch of stuff from a book attributed to Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, which is The Secret of Secrets. And then he goes to the explanations and all that. And just to be clear, because we have to kind of like drive this home with people. I have to remind myself every now and then. It's very easy to get like caught up into like personalities, right? Like, because you read these stories about these sheikhs and these figures of the past, and like, man, that's my guy, you know. But everybody, if they're not Rasul Sallallahu, if they can make mistakes, right? They can make mistakes. Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, he's an accepted scholar, Sufi circles, Salafi circles, Wahhabi circles, whatever you want to call them, they all revere and accept this guy. But he has made mistakes. He has quoted some, weak hadiths, fabricated hadiths, so different concepts. He has made mistakes, just like anybody else that's a scholar has made mistakes. Nowadays, until the end of time, scholars are not perfect. So you have to remind yourself that when you hear that, oh, so-and-so said this and this is wrong, and you think, oh, who are you to say he's wrong? Well, we can go to the Quran and Sunnah, and we can go to the consensus of the scholars and go to what the Sahaba said and we could do that. But everybody makes mistakes, so don't get caught up into that.
Okay. I think this is what was this? Joe Brown. I don't know if that's a real name or not, but asked a pretty good question. Pretty good question. I wonder. I'm gonna ask you, Sheikh Jafar first, and then I let you take a crack at it. Who you think? You get one answer.
The which Sahaba spent the most time with Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, including his family? Does anyone has the answer to this question? Also, where is it documented? If I had to pick, we only get to pick one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Abu Bakr.
Okay,
I'm going to go with Bilal.
Whoa,
okay.
wait.
No, hold up. No.
You don't give an answer.
You already gave me answer. Stop. No, okay, go ahead. You can ask the second one. You go ahead. You get another shot. Go ahead. I guarantee you it's someone that people are not going to necessarily think of. Go ahead. Come on, Jafar. Take another guess.
I'm still gonna go with Abu Bakr. I'm gonna go with Abu Bakr.
I think I don't have. It's not. I wouldn't say I have like documentation, but if we look at the seerah, we look at the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He. If you just want to go just prophethood only or just whole life, but so he did know. Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, before prophethood, of course, it was a friend of his. But I would say Khadija radiallahu anha probably spent the most time with him, 25 years as his wife.
Okay.
I would say I don't know that anybody as far as you have the time plus as his wife. She's probably gonna be spending the most time with him. Then you have I was thinking Abu Bakr radiallahu anha, and then also another person that we're probably forgetting is Ali radiallahu anhu, because he lived in his house. He lived in his house.
Yep.
And he was there for the whole stretch of until Rasulullah passed away. He was still alive, so it's probably going to be his wife or Ali radiallahu anhu, and then Abu Bakr probably. If you just look at just pure time, it says who spent the most time. I would say Ali probably is probably going to take the trophy there. If we look at it like that. Also, hold up, no, because Anas bin Malik was a servant of Rasulullah. His mother came and brought him to Rasulullah and said, "Hey, he's just gonna serve you. Whatever you need, he's just gonna work for you." So he might have racked up lots of hours, just like.
That's what I was thinking about.
Zayd bin Haritha, because because before he was
a lot of options there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of options. That's a good question, because if we just look at it as far as time knowing him, that's going to be Khadija or Abu Bakr anhuma, or
So what about who is the oh gosh, she was there since his birth.
Yeah, Ayman.
Who she's the only one that was there from his birth and then till after his death, right?
Yeah, but I don't know that she. Was
with him on a day-to-day
spent
basis.
The time
like
because
that,
she was
right?
because a matter of fact there was a narration where she because after she was doing like when he was younger, and then Like there was some distance where she wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
around a lot. But that's a really good question. That kind of piqued my interest. I'm really gonna pay attention to the I listen to the Sirah like
All the
on
time, yeah,
repeat. Like
yeah.
I'm always like I'm just now back
Yeah.
coming around to the part where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I know it's not
Awesome.
part of the show, but hey, let's just humor me for a minute.
Yeah.
Right, by where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made Hijrah, right? I mean, it's such a beautiful story. I mean, there's so much to it. Actually, we were talking about how we get so annoyed at some of these grown men that serenade, a grown man singing about him or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I never.
Raise the men
I'll have to post it. We probably should make a video of it and post it on the channel. But the description of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Abd gave about how she described him and his features and his voice and his beard or whatever. Every time I hear the Sheikh giving the narration, I mean, it's like I fall in love with him even more and more and more. And I never desired to see another man, the face of another man, more than Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Like I literally like just get like some sort of like anxiety because I'm like I really want to see him because it's such a beautiful description, and it's not just the description of like him being beautiful, but it's the description of like his whole just aura and his presence and how
his character,
he carried himself. And so listen to the Sirah. It's beautiful. Just when you want to kill some time, there's no killing time, but when you want to spend some time, spend it beneficially. The Sirah is always gonna do your wonders, inshallah. But I'll be trying to track the time and see who comes up the most throughout his period of his life, and maybe I'll report back with an updated
I would say definitely in like public, it's gonna be Abu Bakr and then probably Umar and Uthman, because you always hear the scholars like whenever you hear a hadith, he said, I seen Rasulullah Abu Bakr, I seen Rasulullah and Umar. Like he was always with, but that's like public, everybody's seeing it. But the home life adds a whole different thing, and before prophethood as well adds a whole new aspect to it. But that's a great question. I wish we had more questions like that. Anything else? Any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
All
right.
We're good.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll be next week, inshallah. And what we're gonna do, hopefully, is we're gonna try to like cover a few chapters in the show. Like maybe we'll just pick the biggest issue out of each chapter, then cover it, then move to the next chapter, because we really want to get to the dreams section of this book, because this is where the real juicy stuff is, because this is what Jelani used to convince everybody that he was sent from Allah to guide people, because people were allegedly having all these dreams of meeting Allah, meeting Rasul Sallallahu, much like Muhammad Qasim, the dream cult, same exact playbook is being used. And we want to show how, especially for the older members of TMOA that heard these stories, that read this book, and were so enamored by it, and we're like, yeah, I'm gonna follow this is the truth. We're going to point out all the predictions that were made allegedly by Allah and Rasul Sallallahu that did not come true. Like allegedly Allah telling somebody, like, yeah, you're going to go take over Saudi Arabia, and then that person subsequently dying. So we're going to talk about stuff like that.
Smoked.
Guys, I'm ready to close this out.
All right. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah.
Oh, you know what? Oh, man, I almost forgot. I have breaking news.
What is it?
Lahut Ramadan is in Pakistan. If you were wondering, if you missed that part, Lahut Ramadan is in Pakistan. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, listen, and when
I gotta start catching y'all when y'all don't expect it to happen, because it's like it's played out. So now I gotta throw it in there.
I'm about to say, and listen, whenever you're there, don't be afraid to stop by the gift shop. They have trinkets, mango lassi, and a few other things we used
Hey,
to
but
buy.
they don't open till 5 though. So hey, don't,
I was about to say.
don't get that too early.
The cave is closed for repairs, you know. Gotta fight the freaking Lakuti demon over there. They got stuck in the cave from Ali. Ali's still the demon in the cave.
The giant that he kicked out of there might come back.
Niggas chat with 90 miles
The
barefoot.
giant showing up. Yo, what you doing here?
Give me a B545.
Abuji, I miss you. Miss you so much.
Oh, y'all. Oh, God. Oh, y'all.
All right, Shirk, go ahead.
All right. Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wallahi ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.